So Bitcoin went below $80,000 as low as 78K, and something very important here is happening as we're seeing now Bitcoin went down, the fear and greed, people are fearful and people are scared and people are calling for the bear market again. And what's going on here is probably we have put in a low on Bitcoin. And what I want to show you here, guys, is something, call it the matrix or call it simulation, but we see this play out very often in Bitcoin, especially since 2022, and you will be shocked when you see what this is here and how this plays out and what this is telling us. So basically the VWAP, which is this moving average you see here, which is a volume weighted moving average basically, and it does provide very good indication into what Bitcoin can do, and especially marking the bottoms. So this all comes or started since this little box you see here. This is the bear market ranging time, and if we take a VWAP wherever Bitcoin starts to range, the VWAP shows us where most likely the price is to bounce next. And this happened right after this bounce off the bear market lows, and people started calling for again the market to go lower here, especially when Bitcoin broke above 20k, and people started to call for Bitcoin to go lower when it came back down to 19k and Bitcoin to go to zero or whatnot. And especially that all these macro analysts that you see today dancing on the crypto space, they all called for a bear market to happen in 2023, and especially for a recession that never happened, which left a lot of people sidelined. And one of the major reasons why with every low that Bitcoin makes, we see people come out of the woods and starts to scream that Bitcoin is going to zero and the bear market is here. And that simple fact is because most of them are sidelined. Believe it or not, these people, they were calling for recessions all the way up, and they were calling that we're gonna have a recession, shit is gonna happen, something is gonna happen, and it never happened. But basically the VWAP is keeping us here afloat, let's say. And if we take the VWAP from this low, this is the 15k 16k range on Bitcoin here, the bear market bottom, and this VWAP exactly here marked the bottom on Bitcoin before we see new highs. Again, it did it here. This was also a bearish time as well here. Pepe was launched and people were calling for meme coins, stop signal and all that, and you know what happened then after that. Pepe went to the billions of dollars. But anyways, we seen that again Bitcoin went to the dollar, call it simulation, call it whatever you want to call it the matrix, call it manipulation, call it whatever, but VWAP was the exact bottom sign here, or the bottom signal for Bitcoin to bounce back up and go higher. Now very important, again, if we take the VWAP from this box here, which where Bitcoin was trading right around here, and we take a VWAP here, this is also where Bitcoin bounced off the previous VWAP, and we take that VWAP here and it just kept trending, and look where it marks the low. Kid you not, this is when Germany was selling, Bitcoin went below 50k, just like today going below 90k, causing a lot of drama, causing a lot of fear, and people screaming for lower prices. That's it, is over. Countries are selling Bitcoin, and mind you, this was after the Bitcoin ETFs, and you all remember this probably what happened here. This was in 2024, and kid you not, the VWAP was the exact bottom and the exact price where Bitcoin bounced. This is crazy. But the most crazy part is if we take a VWAP again from that wick and also this range where Bitcoin was ranging here. If we take it, well, look where we at today, guys. This is crazy, right? So Bitcoin went and touched it and went back up again on the daily. We're probably gonna close this daily like this, and signaling this is probably another local low for Bitcoin, and to never be seen again, to start going back higher. And when we say Bitcoin is gonna go back higher, altcoins are gonna go back higher, and especially ETH, which I'm gonna get to as well, will go back higher. And we know when ETH goes up, altcoins go up. So what we have here is another low marked by Bitcoin. And if this was not enough, we have the CME gap fill, that got filled marking that low here. CME gap filled below 80k, and the next CME gap is around 92, 93k. As well, this is another resistance to the upside for Bitcoin, and most likely this is where we start to see Bitcoin going back up to retest again this resistance. and we're probably gonna see this broken out very likely, and the reason is because we are in an uptrend. Believe it or not, if you log out of social media and forget about the fear, we are actually on an uptrend. Bitcoin has been on an uptrend since basically January of 2023, and when we say uptrend, this means that resistances are easy to break and supports are stronger, because we're on an uptrend. When we are on a downtrend here, it's the reverse. Supports are weaker and the resistance are stronger. So that's also another confluence point why we see that, or why I do think we're going to see new highs on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin most likely to break above 93k. One more thing again to add here, why Bitcoin will break above, or very likely to break above resistance easily, is we seen the same thing play out here, and you might argue that this was also a retest of previous range where Bitcoin broke below for the sell-offs here, came back, found some resistance on previous range and went below it again, but then we seen the breakout happen again here. So if I put this one in yellow again, so just that we see the same confluences here, or the same ranges are playing again, probably we're going to play the same thing here. Now most importantly is ETH. Now ETH is as well marking a bottom, and it went down just, especially now, went down just because Bitcoin went down, and I'm going to show you also why is that. But very important point here to keep in mind is that this is the January 2024 low, which basically this, we haven't tapped this low basically since it was put. And usually, for those that do not know, these wicks, they do provide a lot of liquidity for the next move up, because there are stop losses here and also orders where people place orders because they know if the price goes below that, then it causes it to pump back up. And basically that's what we did. We took all the liquidity from those wicks here, swept the lows, let's say, and now ETH is coming back up, and ETH is just following the plan that I laid out, guys, is that it's gonna range again here in this box before we see it going above 4k, which means massive altcoin season, massive rallies. This is what we need to see it do. Now if we add the ETH BTC pair, this is where things get very interesting, where we see ETH getting stronger and holding stronger on its BTC pair, which is telling us it's getting stronger, slowly getting stronger, and not getting sold off as much as Bitcoin today. So what we notice here, let's remove the boxes now, and what we notice is on its USDT pair it went lower, but on its BTC pair it did not go lower. So this is the wick from the previous sell-off, like you see here above, and what we see here on the BTC pair is a clear higher low, or a clear uptrend. That's what we see here. Here we have a lower high on USDT pair, and we can argue that most of the sellers now are exhausted on ETH USDT, basically because they're not selling now as much, because if that was a sell-off, or this was a major sell-off on ETH, we will see new lows on the ETH BTC, but we're not seeing that. We're seeing it on the USDT pair just because ETH or Bitcoin went down. So when Bitcoin will go up, ETH will go up, altcoins will go up. So that's why we're talking about mainly Bitcoin, and I started the video talking about Bitcoin is because Bitcoin is the guy we want to look at, especially when there are heavy sell-offs on Bitcoin. Now what we notice is very clear. We have probably putting another low, as I have it marked here. Whenever we touch the VWAP, we have those bottoms put in, and we move on from there, and we put in new highs from these parts, or from these places here. Now another thing I want to look at is the Bitcoin dominance, and this is basically whenever it starts to trend lower, we do have an altcoin season, or the major one, which hasn't happened yet. So since forever, Bitcoin dominance has just been going up, and whenever the Bitcoin dominance starts to trend lower, we do have an altcoin season which hasn't started yet. Now why I'm showing you this here, it's because it's getting weaker. Now usually the Bitcoin dominance thrives on people selling altcoins to buy Bitcoin. That's how it starts, that's how it keeps going up, and that's why this far, if you go look at most of the altcoins, none of them have putting new all-time highs above the 2021 all-time highs. It's just simply because most people are not holding them and holding Bitcoin, and that's why Bitcoin dominance keeps going up. But something very important is happening today, which is Bitcoin dropped, and Bitcoin dominance is supposed to go higher above the previous high 64%, which happened on the 3rd of February. And basically to show you which this one is which is this low here. So Bitcoin is much lower than this low, but Bitcoin dominance were supposed to actually go up higher than 64%, is in fact going lower. This signifies that people are selling Bitcoin to buy altcoins. So that's what's going on here with the Bitcoin dominance. This tells me that Bitcoin dominance is getting weaker. Now, people that were in 2021 here back in the days when we were really looking into it that much, because we weren't a real altcoin season and you could really trade off it, they will remember that back in 2021, basically what happened is, or what used to happen is, whenever we have a drop on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance follows, we usually feel safer because we know that this usually signals an altcoin season. Now, the real bad signal, or something you don't want to see, is Bitcoin collapsing and Bitcoin dominance going up. So usually this happens on bear markets. Now, Bitcoin goes up, or the Bitcoin crashes. This is 2022. Bitcoin crashes and then Bitcoin dominance goes up, or also because we have not seen any real major altcoin season besides those little drops you see here and there occasionally on the Bitcoin dominance, like one here and this one here. And recently with the Trump winning and all that in December, we've seen this drop here on the Bitcoin dominance. This was also another altcoin season, but as you can see, none were very sustainable, and those are the ones that were sustainable. These heavy sell-offs on the Bitcoin dominance, this usually where we have the major altcoin season with actual non-stop pumps. And also one reason why people are very fearful today and very calling for lower prices, calling for no bull markets and all that, is because we haven't seen those type of pumps yet, and people are very fearful. You can clearly see how the fear and greed index is at its lowest point since basically FTX, since forever. And this has always been a very good time to be buying the fear, and selling the greed has always been a very good strategy when it comes to crypto. But most importantly, what I want to show you here is, whenever we go to extreme greed, we never stay there for that long, when usually we stay there for a few months whenever we have altcoin season. But now we just stay there for around a week or two, and that's also tied to the Bitcoin dominance. And once soon as the Bitcoin dominance starts to go lower, we're going to have a sustained altcoin season or altcoin rally with a sustained extreme greed, which signaling that everybody is very greedy, feeling a lot of FOMO, and people just starts to buy everything under the sun, which causes an altcoin season. So far today's video, we're just talking about how the bottom is in for Bitcoin, and when the bottom is in for Bitcoin, that also means the bottom is in for ETH, and when the bottom is in for ETH, that means also the bottom is in for altcoins. But what we really want to look at is what I see here with ETH is probably this is as well the low on ETH, and funny enough, a lot of people are shitting on ETH right now at the range lows. So this is crazy when people get bearish at the lows and get bullish at the highs. This is pure human psychology and why most people don't make it. Funny enough that people get bearish at the lows, for some reason red candles do convince people that things will not happen and do shake people out. So we are now at the range lows. People are very bearish, but we're seeing actually buyers step in today because we took the January low here, and we're seeing this wick left here because also we took this previous sell-off wick and we took it, and we're back up here again. We filled completely this wick now, and we are now back into this range again trading. Most importantly, we want to see ETH above 2,800. As soon as we start closing daily candles above it, it's good days, happy days. Well, probably this is the time where we go to test again above 4K, and if we do that, this is the time we break above it finally, because we did try 3 times, and that would be the last time here, because the longest we test a support or a resistance, the weaker it gets, and this is a resistance, and if we go test it again, it's gonna get weaker. And this means also, it just in simple terms, less people are interested to sell 4K anymore, and this means the price can freely go from there and create more FOMO and more people buying as there is less and less resistances. And basically it's price discovery territory where people just speculate, and speculations starts to open, and maybe we're gonna start to see people calling for 20K, 30K, 100K ETH. We never know, but now people are very bearish at the lows, and probably at a new all-time high or price discovery, we will start to see ETH people, or people calling ETH to go to, I don't know, 50K or half Bitcoin or whatever. So that's always market psychology, and that's a bullish sign to see that people are bearish at the lows while buyers are stepping in. And one more more reason I say buyers are stepping in. If we look at the order books now, we can track order books on OKX, and Binance, on CoinGlass. You can also track ETFs and whatever is happening to stay up to date and not freak out with the rest of the market. And basically, since yesterday, we've seen heavy orders supporting the price at around 80k, and also as soon as the prices started to go up, we started to see heavy buyers stepping in at around 83k, which are still here. Now when you see this line stretch to the right here, this just means there are way more orders around these prices and there is more strength here. While on the sell side, if we zoom out here, you can see that the line is way more into the left, basically showing us there is less orders, less people interested into selling until we go above 100k, let's say. Basically, so above 100k we have more orders slowly starts to step in on the sell side, and it's still not as strong as the buy side. As you see, more people want to buy than people wants to sell, and that's a very strong bullish signal at the lows for both BTC and ETH. And as you all know, is very important to us, and we need ETH to start to rally back up to create a real sustainable altcoin season. Now the second or the third confluence, basically we have the VWAP for Bitcoin, we have the CME gap fill, and then we have the fear and greed, which is at its lowest point since the FTX crash. And whenever we get to these lows, usually we bounce from these lows, and whenever we get to extreme greed, we do resell off that kind of extreme greed, unless we are into a very strong bull market, then we stay in extreme greed for too long, or we are in a bear market and we stay in fear for too long. And we are clearly not in a bear market, seeing where Bitcoin is at today and seeing the trend on the charts, where clearly we can see we are in an uptrend on Bitcoin, and this was the bear market. Once we broke below this level back in the days, you knew that the fear will stick around for a while. And now once we're above those previous all-time highs in 2021, you know that extreme greed is most likely than extreme fear to last longer. So those are all things telling me to stay put. The market is still bullish, everything is still fine, and especially with Bitcoin today bouncing off that 78k VWAP level, I do think we're soon going to start to see recovery on Bitcoin, altcoins, Ethereum, all that good stuff. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.